answers. Anybody else? Okay, you go first. All right.
So what got you into even working on comics in the first place?
I started working in comics. I always grew up to be a comic fan. I was a closet comic fan, I would say. Even my best friends didn't know I collected comics because back in those days, it wasn't pop culture. It was kind of a nerd thing to do. So I kind of kept it a little secret. But when I got out of college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was an English major, which means I had no experience to go anywhere. I always wanted to work in comics, so I was like, well, I found out this guy who I kind of quit reading comics in college until I discovered, girls and going out and having a good time, and I needed my money for other things. So, but then towards the end of my senior year, I actually had a steady girlfriend who's now my wife, and his mom here, and so I thought it was okay to start reading comics again because it was okay. So I would go visit her, and I found a comic shop near her hometown during the summer, and started buying comics. And I started buying Watchmen and Almost Swamp Thing and things like that. So one of the books I picked up was called Flaming Carrot, which came out through Dark Horse. And I noticed that Bob, he has columns in the back of his comics, and he lived in Atlanta. I went to the University of Georgia. He went to the University of Georgia, I found out. But what I noticed most of all about Bob is that he used assistants to give him credit in the comics themselves. So of course, you always want to have your name in comics, right, in the credits. So I became a big fan, and I just wrote him a letter. I said, look, I just graduated college. I don't know what I want to do, but I do know I want to work in comics. Right now, I'm working as a door-to-door salesman for this art print company, whatever, and I was doing little mail modeling or whatever. But so I said, I'm not your typical guy, but I'd like to come learn from you. So you use assistants, so I can come learn from you, and I'll do it for free, as an intern or whatever. And to my surprise, about 3 weeks later, he called me up and told me to come meet him at his house, and then offered me a job on the spot, and actually paid me, so it was even better. And of course, some of that payment meant cutting his grass and running the store for him, whatever. But at the same time, I learned the industry, how it operated from his point of view, and I started making friends with his friends, which were like the Brian Bollins and the Dave Sims and the Alan Moores and all these people I met through Bob. And so that's how I got into comics. He was working as a little lowly assistant, and I wanted to be an artist, and I quickly realized I was not going to be an artist because I wasn't good enough. I didn't have the patience for it because I was really slow, and if you want to be a professional artist, you have to be, not only have to be good and be able to tell a story, you have to be relatively fast, and that was never going to be me. So I said, okay, I'll be a writer instead. So I worked with Bob probably about 3 years, I guess, 89 to 92. That ages me a little bit for you guys. And then I ended up being an artist in a small convention in North Carolina. Between me and him, we put a book together. We had a book called Kilroy Is Here, which eventually ended up at Caliber, but at the time it was ending up at Tundra, back when Kevin Eastman had his Tundra company. And surprisingly and oddly enough, my editor at Tundra was Paul Jenkins. So my first editor in comics was actually Paul Jenkins, who's now one of my, a good friend of mine, and I sometimes sucker into going on these little tours with me. We also share studio space together, being him and Brian Stelfreeze in Atlanta at a movie studio, which is also kind of fun because like Avengers is filming there now, so I'm trying to sneak down to the set. But Godzilla just left, and I can't remember. Hugh Jackman's there filming something too. I can't think what it's called. And there's a AMC TV show they're filming as well. But anyway, going back to Paul. And then when Tundra kind of bellied up, Paul kind of pushed us towards Caliber. And when I first got offered a Caliber job, they offered it to me right away when a contract. And so I turned it down because I didn't think they were big enough for me. Because we also had Karen Vertigo was talking to us. Well, we were talking to her. I guess we'll put it that way. That never ended up happening, so I ended up going back to Caliber, which was a great move because I actually, Gary Reed, who was a publisher at Caliber, became one of my best friends. He gave me my career. Bob Burton gave me my foot in the door, but Gary Reed gave me my career because he let me come to Caliber and do whatever I wanted to do. I started Kilroy up, and I was waiting for my flaky artists to keep flaking out on me. I decided to become an editor, and I started a book called Negative Burn at Caliber. And the next thing I know, I'm the creative director for Caliber. And I started making it where a company, you didn't start your career and moved on. You, as a company, I went out and started recruiting the Mobiuses, the Alan Moores, the No Gaimans, and people, and the Garth Ennises to come do their personal projects at Caliber. Go make your money elsewhere and just have fun with us. And so I did that for a few years. I guess I started there in '92. I left Caliber 98, worked a little bit more after that, and then ended up somehow working in the X-Men office as a writer. It was kind of funny because I think I was Caliber. I came out with, it was me and O'Brien Bendis and David Mack and Phil Hester and a couple other guys and like Mike Perkins. And there was some newspaper article or some article in some magazine in England that said Marvel was like headhunting independent creators, and they mentioned the five of us by name, and Andrew Robinson, who I was doing Dusty Star with at Image at the time. And so we got together and said, well, who is this editor at Marvel, unnamed source, who wants us to come work for them? And nobody knew who it was, so we guessed it was one particular editor at the X-Men office, and I reached out to him, and it wasn't him. But he said, send me your stuff anyway, let me look at it, and then the next thing I know, I'm writing X-Men comics.
Huh.
So very lucky that way. And I did that for a few years again, and then realized that what I kind of missed doing was work with my friends on letting them do their personal projects. So I kind of started a company called Desperate Publishing, which I partnered with Image Comics for a couple of years, did by myself for a couple of years, and then partnered with IDW for like about 5 or so, and started doing comics and graphic novels, and then I eventually ended up being just an art book line. I did a bunch of art, Eisner-winning art book line with Brian Baldwin and Amanda Connor, a bunch of other people, because that was one thing that was making money at the time, so I had to do that. And then after losing my shirt in that company, decided to kind of take a couple years off. And next thing I know, was I was trying to do another company with a bunch of other creators. That was like a new Image with a bunch of prominent creators who I won't name right now, but we were putting the new company together. We had financial investment for it, and then they basically tried to do a hostile takeover when the contract came to us, and we told them to go away, and that kind of, so that fell apart. And then next thing I know, Aftershock fell in my lap. So good things happen for those who wait, or stupid enough not to walk away. So.